So I'm going to start out by lighting a candle here. And the purpose of lighting the candle is to begin the session and to open this session by inviting in the seven directions, the ancestors, and all the helping spirits, um, particularly the ancestors, because much of what keeps us from being fully present to what's essential is handed down to us from trauma from our ancestors. So I really want to invite them and encourage them to also participate in this conversation. And so I'm lighting the candle and putting it up here. We'll call this our altar now. And yeah, so I see a lot of people don't want to turn on their candles, and that's fine too. Um, so, what does it take to create a safe space? I think that's an important thing to look at, to really be open to and vulnerable. Those of you who have studied with me or participated in other events know that I may give out a lot of information, but it's not the information that creates healing. It's not the information that creates depth. And it's certainly not the information that creates interconnectedness. So, sorry. So, the work that we're going to do today is to really look and see, well, so I'd like you actually to write in the chat and just say, what is it that you need? So we can all know that. What is it that you need to create a safe space? Um, just, write that in the chat right now. You can just click on the chat and write in, what do you need? I think one of the things, that's hard to guarantee in a call like this that isn't a regular group is confidentiality. And I would hope that people would take the lessons away, but not to be sharing the personal stories of people and the details or cross talking. But I don't see anything coming in the chat here. So I really want to encourage your participation. I can easily talk for an hour and a half, or as some people know, for 5 hours, but I'm interested in your interaction here. So, permission to speak or not? Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you. That's beautiful, Bev. Yeah, and and that includes if I ask a question or something is there that I think it's really a return to our power to be able to say no, no, I don't feel like speaking now. I don't feel like participating. And yes, absolutely. The same thing with turning on the camera. While I'd like you to do that, it's fine. That doesn't feel right to you, then don't do that. Connection. Yeah, Kim, non-judgment is an important thing, but you know what? I have to say good luck with that. Here's what I would rather have you do, because we're judgment-making machines, right? So what I'd really like is for you to notice your judgments and to actually go deeper and notice any feelings or body sensations that come with the judgments. Because as people know in the work, we're really practicing being with each other and allowing ourselves to see and be seen. And as my teacher, Thomas Hubel, always talks about, is because we see each other in our nervous system, even though you may think I'm over here and you're over there. And in one sense, that's true. But in another sense, you actually are here in my nervous system, and I'm out here with however many people are on the call out in your nervous system. And so, what you experience in your nervous system comes from your willingness to see me, seeing you, seeing me, seeing you, and you seeing me in the nervous system. So there's a sense of I'm not separate. I'm here with you. I'm participating and I'm giving you my full attention. And then I notice, oh, I have a physical sensation. I have an emotion. I get taken away with a thought. And those are the distractions that keep us from being connected, but it's also the distractions that keep us from finding out what's essential in our lives, what's really, truly important in our lives. And that's what we're exploring in this call. I'm just looking here to see anything else. Time with others makes me feel closer. Yeah. And being with each other is beautiful, Michelle. Freedom to do what I feel to do. Um, to know that my love is accepted, allowed just to be with all of you. Beautiful. Thank you. Um, so we'll just, anybody want to write anything else? I won't watch them, but maybe Deborah, if there's something, if you see in the chat, you can bring it up, or any questions or anything. Another way to ask a question is just to raise your hand. There's an icon down at the bottom. If you, where is the icon?
It's under participants.
Oh, you have to go to participants. There you go. Okay. Yeah. If you go to participants, no, that's where I was. Can you tell us where, Deborah, that is? It's usually at the bottom, I thought. More?
Yeah, it's on the bottom of
Oh,
all
maybe
our,
it's not on my screen because I'm the host.
possibly.
That's why. Okay. Yeah.
It's
So
under the bottom, under all our photos. Click on participants. It'll take you over to the right hand of your screen, and it says raise hand, and you can click on that button.
great. And do raise your hand, and Deborah will let me know if somebody has one. So this is an inquiry. And an inquiry, in my way of doing inquiry, is not to close the question, but to open the question. It's a beautiful passage that Rilke wrote in his letter to an artist, a young artist. And he talks about how to live into a question rather than to try to answer that question and try to get to the end point of that question, to actually have the question continue, to go into the question without necessarily looking for an answer, but living into the question. And perhaps the answer will come, but to also question those answers, to look and see farther. Because what we do when we answer a question, we become fundamentalists basically about that answer. That becomes the truth. And so we really want to keep open here to possibility. If you liken it to physics, we have waves of potential that are always available to us. But when we close down a question and decide, oh, Deborah's like this, Michael's like that, life is like this, Democrats are like this, Republicans are like this, we shut down the potential. We basically go from a field, a wave field, to a point that says this is the way it is. And we've closed off the field of potentiality. So that's one of the issues that I think is really important to recognize when we're exploring, what is it that I'm here for? What is my soul calling me to do? And so we're looking to see, well, what really is essential in our life? Is it Facebook? I doubt it. No matter how much time someone may spend on it, I doubt if that's essential. Many things that we do are important to us, and that's fine. And it might be important to be in connection through Facebook, but is it essential? What or how much of your life do you consider what you're doing is actually essential? Because what you see is that, well, first of all, let's talk about time. We live not in the present. The present's always here, but mostly we're not. We're mostly living in the remembered past. Why do I say the remembered past? Because it's not even actually the what happened in the past. It's the story that we told when something happened. And my evidence for that is if you have siblings or something and you're at the dinner table and you say, remember that time that mom did this? And all of a sudden a fight is going on over your memory of what the past was. And many of us are living in the future. When this happens, everything, when I win the lottery, when I get the right man, the right woman, the right house, the right car, we're always looking out there rather than bringing ourselves into a state of presence. We can't find what's essential if we're living in the remembered past or the imagined future. And so the opportunity on this call is to really presence yourself. And what's presencing? Presencing is bringing presence and perception into alignment with what's happening in my body, my emotions, my mind, and my ability to be relationally intimate with each other. So we're looking at that from how do I become present enough so I can actually hear the whispering of my soul? How can I become present enough to tap into what really is essential, what I was born here to do? And if you're not present, that's a difficult task to do. And again, we have this idea that my fulfillment or my happiness is somewhere later. It's not now. It's somewhere. It's going to happen. I don't know when, but as soon as I get my business going, as soon as I do this, it's going to happen. When I get enough money, then I can retire and do what I really want to do, which is be a writer or a singer, or an actress, or, a juggler, whatever. So this issue of presencing is essential to be able to find out, what is it that's really essential? And then the other issue is that we live in a story which has been created to protect us, called our ego, our narrative, our personality, whatever you want to call it. That story is running us for the most part. Anytime we're in the remembered past or imagined future, we're being run by a story. And for the most part, we don't know that. We think we're just, thinking, and instead of recognizing that actually we're having thought, we're not even having thoughts. Thoughts are having us and predicting what's going to happen with the next move. So this whole area of my ability to tap into deeper states of awareness so that I can hear my soul's calling, first we have to get still enough to actually listen. This is why I teach meditation and many different programs in order to create that spaciousness. Many people right now are very stressed or fearful over what's happening with COVID or many other things, the state of United States or in the politics or the, many different things that are keeping us from being able to be present. And we feel a lot of stress. 60 to 90% of all illness is stress related, according to all the studies. But we have this thing we call stress. But what is stress? We have this kind of phantom called stress. And if you look at the dictionary, it's like a dragon chasing its tail. It's like saying I'm sick. It doesn't say anything. I'm sick. Well, do you have a cold or stage 4 cancer? What is sick? So when we talk about stress, which is at the heart of all of our illness, we're talking about not having the capacity to meet the challenges that are in front of us fully and with all of our body, our mind, and our emotions, that we can't meet those. So the issue is one of capacity. So we're in all of this in order to get back to some place, and we'll open up dialogue and look at, how to get to that. But in order to do that, to increase our capacity. How would you increase your capacity? What is the capacity? It's literally a physical thing, that it's embodied. And what there is that keeps us from exploring that capacity is our familial, our ancestral, and our experiential and our cultural uh, traumas and things that happen to us when we experience some soul loss, which is really getting to, what is that place that is my essential goodness, my essence? What is it that is worth my spending time, my essence? And so we're then digging into this place and we say, oh, there's a lot of personal and cultural fragmentation that's handed down to us, and that comes from our own experiences. So we have the individual fragmentation, which is something happens to us that's a threat to our survival. Let's say, you're 2 or 3 and there's, dad or mom isn't available when you need to have love, you need to have soothing, you need to have nurturing, and they're not available. And so we make up a story about that. It's not even the incident that happens, it's the story we tell ourselves about the incident. So let's say I get lost and I'm really scared, and I'm wandering around the neighborhood and I'm 3 or 4 years old and I don't know where I am and I'm really scared, and the police come and they pick me up and they take me home, and my mom takes me and then she beats the crap out of me for going out. Now, that happens, that kind of thing happens every day. And mom was just scared. But rather than saying how scared I was, and you must have been scared too, and come here, sweetheart, don't ever do that again because you scared me and you scared yourself and you could get really hurt, and you nurture. But so many places in our life, we didn't get that nurturing. And so a part of us got shut down. Our ability to be with our fear got shut down. Our ability to feel like we know where we are. We feel lost. I'm just using that particular example, but you can see how that's what happens in general. And so there's that fragmentation, and then those build up, and those create a story of self-fulfilling prophecy, which actually then invites that kind of thing in, so you get more shut down, and a part of you, and you create competencies. Well, I'll get really smart, so you get a couple PhDs or something, or I'll get really lovable, or I'll be a caretaker and I'll take care of people. We create this is the identity package that gets created out of these traumas. Not only out of that, but out of the familial hand-me-downs and things that have been going on for thousands of years through our ancestral lineage get passed down. For instance, let's say, even in a recent example, say World War II and the Holocaust and what happened. People who were survivors of that 2 or 3 generations before, later after that, are being affected by that, and areas are shut down from those things. Think of slavery, think of genocide. All these things that happen in our culture all take a piece of us. And so we get more and more numb, more and more protected, and more inside of our story or our narrative. And that story or that narrative has only one purpose. What do you think the one purpose is of your story? Your identity. Anybody?
Protection.
Pardon me?
Protection.
It is protection, but it's more than protection. It's the survival of the story. The whole story's purpose is to survive. And that's where spiritual bypassing and all these ways we get really smart about how to push away the very things that will wake us up to our essence. So what does wake us up to our essence? What is it that allows us to see what's essential? Well, first we have to get still and we have to get in our body because all of these traumas and all of these parts that have been fragmented and dissociated take a lot of energy to hold them down. And that energy is using up our vital energy, our soul energy, to keep all that suppressed and going. Keep my face. T.S. Eliot has a wonderful saying, he's putting on a face to meet the faces that we meet. That's our identity, putting on a face to meet the faces that we meet. So how can we go beyond that face? And we go beyond that by when we have difficulties and uncomfortable experiences that come up for us in life, rather than running or blaming somebody else for those, you make me so angry, or, blaming it on someone else, we actually go in and feel the feeling of the difficulty. We lean into the difficulty. We allow ourselves to be with the difficulty. We allow ourselves to feel the emotions. We allow ourselves to notice the thoughts from a place of presence and notice what's happening between us and in the other person and in myself. So that's a practice that's born out of stillness, commitment, intention, focus. There's a lot of things, those of you that are in my classes know that's all the kinds of things I teach. We call it the mystic's way. Now, when I talk about a mystic, I'm talking about a contemporary mystic, a mystic not that sits in a cave somewhere and meditates for their entire life, but a mystic that's in the world, of the world. It's a great Zen carvings that show, a person going out on a trip of enlightenment, and has all these different things. They go out and then they always come back into the community. So we don't take ourselves out of the community, especially now. We need to immerse ourselves in these difficulties and allow the difficulties to be portals for awakening ourselves. So anything we say, that was a difficult conversation, or that was really hard. Oh boy, I hated being in that meeting. It was just terrible. Instead of going there, go underneath and say, well, what was it that was difficult for me? Oh, I didn't feel heard. I didn't feel seen. I didn't feel connected. Oh, maybe I can go deeper than that. I can go into my body and find literally the physical representation. There's a wonderful book called The Body Keeps the Score. Um, uh, got a blank, Vandercloak. I forgot his first name. I'm sorry. But it really shows how all these, what people are calling trauma is just frozen past. That's all it is. It's pieces of the past that get frozen in our body. And so we want to unfreeze these parts of ourselves. Pretty much everybody that's here that's ever heard me here knows the chicken story. So I don't know if I should. Anybody want to hear the chicken story that hasn't heard it? No, you've heard the chicken story. Okay. So we're unfreezing these frozen parts of ourselves, is the point. So, what are we chasing that keeps us from being? What are we grasping that keeps us from being and living in our essential self, our essential goodness, our soul's past, why we're here? All these things are pointing to all these difficulties, all these challenges, all these both internal and external experiences that we want to push away are all the doors to discovering what it is we're here for. Um, so let's see. So, if you have any sense or any feeling that you're not connected, which most of us do, connected to my body, connected to my emotions, most of us don't even live in our body. We live all out of our body. Many of us have trouble even distinguishing our emotions. What am I feeling right now, just in this conversation? What am I feeling? Am I joyful and inspired, or am I cautious and untrustworthy, or is it bringing up fear? What are the subtle emotions that are bringing up, and what are the thoughts? Am I preparing my rebuttal? I don't agree with that, or am I saying yes, that's true, I agree with it, or am I just thinking about Aunt Maisie and the cow? Whatever, it's we're not very present. So I want to do a little bit of dialogue with you and little questions, and then I'll do a journey, and then we'll interact some more. So, who has a question or something that's not clear, or just anything that you'd like to say about your own ability to be with your life purpose, your soul's purpose, your destiny? Now, I'm thinking of destiny from a soul's place. Mostly what we call destiny is the past being filed in our future and living into that. That's what a common destiny is. I'm talking about our destiny that's a birthright. So let me distinguish between those two. So what conversations you want to open, questions you have, what do you experience in this conversation? Just raise your hand or unclick your microphone and jump on in there. Deborah, is there anything?
There are no questions or raised hands. Well, we do have a question from Jackie.
Uh-huh.
How do we get to the place of making ourselves the priority? Jackie, would you like to unmute yourself?
Where are you, Jackie?
Hi, everyone.
There you are. Hi, Jackie. That's great. So how do we get to the place of making ourselves a priority? That's a wonderful question, and I love it. And it is an issue for so many people, is self-care. But before I engage in it with you a little bit, I'm reminded of a poem, or a Japanese poem. I'm trying to remember his name. He says, "Why are you unhappy? Why are you unhappy?" And he says, because 99.9% of everything you do and say is about yourself, and there isn't one. So we have what you're talking about is making the identity happy, Jackie. And ultimately, there's that place where we discover that the happiness has more to do with what we give than what we're getting. Now, some of us will bolt at that and say, well, that's a problem because I'm giving all the time and I'm never receiving, because that's an effect of trauma that I how I can get people to love me is I'll always do things and I won't take care of myself. So that's another place that you might be experienced, that I'm always taking care of other people. And that's an issue more around boundaries. So tell me, what is it for you that you think keeps you from taking care of yourself, making yourself a priority?
Well, I think for me personally, I'm just coming out of a deep freeze and a lot of trauma conditioning,
Mm-hmm.
and making myself actually the priority. So I think one of the things that has kept me from doing that is it's the patterning, it's the behaviors, it's the not feeling safe, worried, feeling inadequate, not enough.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kept me in a place of wanting some kind of control,
Yeah.
and recognizing that there's very little that I have control over. It doesn't stop me from wanting it.
Exactly. Exactly. That's such a good thing to notice. Yeah. This gets us in a lot of trouble. This need to be in control, um, and it really is um, what there is to explore is that the fear that's underneath that need to control. That's really the issue to make friends with. You know, we have very intelligent nervous systems. There's nothing broken or nothing wrong with any of you. You know, think, oh, I need to fix this, that um, I need to get a sense of being enough or I need to get over my feeling of inadequacy. But really, you need to make friends with your feeling of inadequacy
Hmm.
to actually love that. And if you go into the body, and this is what the kind of work that I do, if you go into the body and you really explore that inadequacy, first of all, you'll begin to see the fear that's behind, you know, what's happening in my body behind this. And then you'll see that fear, and that fear will have an age, a time when you had one of those events that you decided I'm inadequate. So when you look at that, what comes up for you when you look at that feeling of needing to be in control? Does that have an age? Can you just let it come up and see if it has an age?
Mm. Well, recently it's from being overwhelmed and um, with grief and given too many things to handle at once. It's
Mhm.
my husband died, my daughter died shortly after,
No.
of and I ended up moving, and just trying to keep up and not knowing that I needed to have time to process the emotions around it, but I didn't because I became guardian of my granddaughter and had to move, all those kinds of things. So it's just kind of sometimes I can be quite the workaholic and keep on doing like the ever ready bunny.
Hmm.
But that beingness, that doingness, doesn't allow for the fullness, the completion
Yeah.
of, I think, and recognizing that it doesn't matter what's going on, what trauma, what chaos is going on. There's a place inside me that's able to handle this. I'm just getting introduced to that place actually, and so I find that I'm kind of in transition. Um, find that remarkable. That
Yeah.
sometimes it's just doing nothing.
Well, you're handling a lot, Jackie. You're handling an enormous amount. So first of all, you need to just get, I'm handling a lot. Then you really do need to take the time to grieve. I can feel it
Yeah.
right here. You know, you haven't taken the time to grieve. You lost a lot, and you need to give yourself that time, and that will make more space for your granddaughter also. If you do that work, it'll be a demonstration of how to deal with her challenge of losing her mother, right? So you need a practice to work with. I have, if you write me, I'll send you a grief um, process that I do with people, and send that to you. I'm happy to do that. But really, it's a matter of when you feel like you need to go. That's a time to remind yourself, slow, slow, slow. you know.
Mm.
So, where in your body do you feel this um, this grief right now? That's what I'm feeling.
Um, I guess a lot of it is coming in
Mhm.
initially through my head, but then down into my heart area. Um, it's like I would like to curl up, close in,
Mhm.
maybe bring my arms in and just go likely into a ball or a fetal position even.
Mhm.
Um, like I don't feel that, but that's kind of the trajectory that where I have this sense.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it is, I can feel it here just being with you and the enormity of it. I think,
I
uh,
feel like I should run away or leave the meeting.
yes, of course, just like you feel like you
No,
want to
no,
be in
no,
control.
because of passing that grief on.
Yeah. The only way to not do that is to complete the grief. And I still would say that the the part that's not allowing you to be with the grief happened way younger. I'd guess less than 5. What is there something that happened back then that you remember that was a big incident that just you made a decision that you needed to be in control?
Yes, huge. And I was beaten badly by my father one time.
Yeah. How old?
Um, likely 4 or 5 in that area.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I get too. So this is really an issue here when our caregivers that we rely on for our survival do something like that out of their own pain, out of their own history. So it's not to hold a resentment or blame about it. It's to recognize that that happened and you didn't get the nurturing that you needed to develop fully. So you made a decision, okay, I need to be in control so I don't get beat up, or however you worded it. It'll be in your words as a 4 or 5 year old. But that's what's getting triggered now. And if you don't grieve, you will pass it on.
Mm.
But if you go into that and you take that 4 or 5 year old, that little Jackie, and imagine yourself, in fact, do this with me. Just close your eyes a second. Okay. So I want you to go back there and little Jackie's just been beaten by her father. I want you to pick her up and imagine putting her on your lap and holding her close to you. Now, what would you tell her from this place now? What would you tell the 4 or 5 year old Jackie to soothe and nurture her?
I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm going to help you. I love you. You're going to be okay. You are loved. You are important. And you're worth the world to me.
Yeah.
This should never have happened.
But it did, and you survived. And it's part of, Jackie, it's part of your true destiny, your essential work that you're to do, that you're here to do. I had a lot of trauma. I mean, my mother's suicide, abuse, physical, sexual, all of that. It's what propelled me on my path. When I look back in retrospect, while I wouldn't want my childhood to be anyone else's, I recognize that it is what has driven my work and what I'm here to do, the work I'm doing with you right now. So, you put it into context and you take care of. The three steps in the work that I do are first presencing, getting present, just like you did. Oh, I noticed that I want to be in control and I had a lot of grief, but I don't have time, and I'm feeling inadequate and not enough to meet the challenges. So that's bringing your perception and your presence together, and you're seeing that. Then we go to the body and into the full self, and we witness. We take ourselves out of the story. Just naturally happens as a meditator. You know that place where you're observing yourself and you go, well, wait, is it two people or one? No, consciousness is observing what's going on. And so you witness, you bring yourself into your body, you feel the sensations, you allow yourself to be with it, you allow the tears to flow if that's it, whatever. And then you embrace that, either the young person or, the part of you that feels like it's broken, but it's not broken because it was your intelligent nervous system that shut it down to protect you and so you would survive. When your father beat you, and you went, I don't want that to ever happen again. You had to be in control. And one way of being in control is to shut ourselves down if anything appears to be a threat like that. And we're shutting down our natural ability to feel and to experience. And so then you go on the go, go, go rather than the slow, slow, slow. Does that make sense, dear?
Very much so.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, how do you feel in your body right now?
Well, certainly cleared from the bedroom of that little girl. It's much different. And actually, I feel in control, I guess.
Well, I think what you're feeling, and tell me, do you feel contracted or expanded?
Expanded.
Yeah, it's a physical experience. I felt it in you when that part that was cramped got more space. That's what I mean when I'm talking about spacious. You just did a beautiful demonstration of doing that.
Yeah.
By taking that, going back and taking that place and loving that little younger you that got stuck in that one place. Now, part of that will be integrated and more things will come up, but you've allowed yourself to receive some energy that's been frozen and shoved down for many years, decades. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Really beautiful work. Thanks so much. Okay, anyone else want to work or have a question or a comment or?
Phyllis. Phyllis, you can unmute yourself.
Hi, Phyllis.
Hello. So what came to me very strongly as you were walking Jackie through the, sit there and put herself on her lap. Also, she said she felt like she wanted to go into fetal position. And one of the amazing ways to nurture yourself when you're in grief, and I've had plenty, is when you feel that, take something and wrap yourself, hug yourself, allow yourself to go into that deep rocking and hold yourself. And your love, it's like we're being told to come into our core, but it's not just to escape, it's to literally go into that place and allow it to like come back into the waves. By the mothers cuddle their children, rock their children, and you can rock yourself, you can hold yourself. I had to write a poem about that when my mother died, and it was like, she can't hold me and rock me anymore. And then I thought, oh wait, and somebody gave me a shawl and I sat for hours sometimes. And I listen to your body when it says go in and rock, go in and hold. hold yourself. It's not just going into fetal position and disconnecting. It's a beautiful, it's like it's part of you hearing what's happening in there. And it just yeah, I just had to say
Wonderful.
that.
No, it's so perfect. It's exactly, in fact, in the exercise that I do with people the grieving exercise,
Yeah.
that's part of the grieving exercise is actually rocking and
Okay.
getting into that. So that's wonderful, Phyllis. Thank you so
Thank you.
much. That's a beautiful demonstration. And I love your physicalness of it too. That's great.
Thank you. It was beautiful.
Yeah.
Appreciated.
Okay. Was there anyone else that had their hand up and wanted to say anything? No? Deborah?
I don't see any hands raised or any
Well, maybe it's
particular
time to
questions.
maybe it's time for us to start a little journey. What do you think? Would you like to do a little meditation with me? I hope so, because that's what I'm going to do. So let's just feel our feet on the floor and notice your breath. Let yourself have a straightish spine. Maybe pull your chin in a little and raise the back of your head just to stretch your spine. Put the mic closer to me because sometimes my voice goes down, but just allow yourself to just feel your weight. Just notice, I have weight. And kind of notice you're in a body, you have weight. Feel the chair or couch, whatever you're sitting on. And just begin to notice the breath. And allow yourself to elongate the out breath a little bit. Really focus, feeling the air coming through the nostrils, breathing in, pausing and releasing on the out breath, and just let it go a little longer. Linger in the space at the end of the breath, and then in breath. And then just allowing your breath to just go through the body. Just use the breath to touch into the feet. Notice any sensation, how they touch the floor. Just feeling into your inner body. And as you go through, feeling the legs, the calves, and working your way up, noticing what's moving, what's alive, and maybe noticing what's stuck and just saying hello to those stuck parts. They're your friends. They've gotten stuck for a reason. And just to honor that. And working your way up the knees and the thighs and hamstrings, and just exploring with your breath. You're breathing and you're looking through the body and bringing awareness to the hips, the pelvic floor. You're presencing yourself, the tailbone, the spine, feeling the back of the body, back of the heart, and the inner body, liver and the spleen and the stomach and all the systems that are working just fine without your help, the digestive, the respiratory, circulatory. Again, looking for any places that are numb, looking for the movement, or noticing any place that perhaps has pain. And just breathe into those areas. And feeling your heart center, your lungs, your shoulders and arms. And just opening up our senses, feeling into the body. If you can release any place that feels tight, just breathe into it and see if it wants to release. If not, that's okay. The upper arm and forearm and shoulders, feeling the tingling. Just allowing yourself to feel it all. And all the way up to the very top of your head, relaxing the muscles of the face, around the eyes, the jaw. And just feeling kind of a soft wave just from the top of your head down, and just brushing anything off, just down into the earth, releasing any tension into the earth, and giving any concerns or worries, just allow the earth to just compost it. And then notice if you have any feelings or emotions that are arising. Maybe sadness or joy, compassion, fear, anger, shame, guilt. And just notice any place in your body where that emotion might be held. And then bring your attention back and just notice your thoughts in your mind. Is your mind still? Is it peaceful and quiet? Or is it elephants rummaging through the jungle, or grasping thoughts? And just kind of let yourself be still like the horizon. Just let that settle down. Still, but alert. I'm going to take you on a little journey to get clarity on our essential self and our essence and our soul's journey here. So just being fully in your body and your emotions and stilling the mind. I want you to imagine yourself in a beautiful place in nature. Could be a place that you've been, or just a place in your imagination. Just see yourself in the country, surrounded by trees and rocks and water, whatever's there. Notice if it's day or night. And breathe in the smells. Feel the air on your skin, the taste in your mouth. Listen to the sounds, opening up all your emotions. And I imagine and invite you to imagine yourself shape-shifting into an animal, a cat, or we're going to go stalking through the woods. So, an animal that you think of that is a good stalker. And what we're going to do is just go through a little journey and imagine yourself beginning that journey into the dark wood. And as you go into that darkness, notice that every rock, every tree, every obstacle that you come to in your journey as you move through the wood represents distractions, addictions, fears, things that you want to get rid of. But you're on a mission. Your intention is to connect with your essential self, your soul's purpose. So see yourself going through the dark wood, avoiding the trees and the rocks, foraging the river, naming the obstacles. Fear of being seen, or not being seen. Being out of control, being overwhelmed by grief, just being scared, not knowing all of those stories and distractions and difficulties and challenges. Each rock and each tree represents one, and you continue knowing that you're going towards your essential self. Moving through the dark wood. And then you come into a clearing, and the sun is shining down, and there's a pond. And you go to the pond and you look into the pond, and you see your own reflection. And it's beautiful. It's overwhelmingly beautiful. And you can smell your essential self. You can taste it. You can feel it in your reflection. It's your soul that's reflecting back to you. And allow yourself to really focus on the reflection, seeing your face reflected in the water. And perhaps some ripples come and you'll see your face change into different ages. And perhaps you'll see the faces of your ancestors. What you're looking at is your essential goodness, all the gifts you've been given through tens of thousands of years of evolution. They're all there. And ask your reflection. Don't try to figure it out, just ask, why am I here? What's my soul's purpose? Why did I come here? Stay in your body. Feel the answer. Watch the reflection. Be open to signs or signals. And just stay present as the image shifts and changes. Don't be distracted. Keep your focus on the reflection. breathing, receiving with your body, listening with your body. And when the water stills completely, you'll see reflected the true shape of your own face. Allow yourself to take it in. The beauty, the fullness, the joy, compassion, the grief, all of it. And as you drink it into your soul, remember to thank the reflection, the ancestors, and then allow yourself to just lie back on the grass and feel the sun on your face, the warmth, the joy of being in a body with a sense of purpose and commitment. Just relaxing into wholeness. And allow yourself to feel just lifted up as if you were floating up into the light of the sun, just floating into the warmth of the light. Feel the spaciousness, the openness, the vastness, the numinous beauty of just being here in this body at this time. And let yourself be transported back to where you were when you started, in your chair, in your room, in the house or area that you started. And take a few more deep breaths. And as you're ready, softly open your eyes. Let's just take a moment if you want to make a note or anything. And just bring yourself back. Welcome back. Would anyone like to share their journey or their experience? What you discovered? Hmm. Either turn your mic on or just raise your hand and we'll move forward. Yes, Ayana.
Yeah, that was really beautiful. And I feel like I'm going to do it again. But
Good.
that was the beginning. Yeah.
Good. It'll be in the recording. You'll be able to listen to it again. Yeah. Thank you, Ayana. Anyone else? Anything open up for anyone that they want to share, or anyone have any questions of what came up? Challenges with it? This is your time. I'm here for you.
Jackie has her hand raised.
Okay. Jackie, please.
I'd want to take up the whole session, but
No, that's fine.
I do.
It's actually really great because you're enough.
Thank you. Actually, before the meditation, I did have a question too, which would take the energy into a different track, but I will go on and respond to on the meditation and the yeah, I turned into this sly fox.
Mm,
But a caricature of a fox just prancing through the brush and the forest of all of my hindrances, I guess the Buddhists would call them, and into the clearing and looking into the pond. And when you said, ask, why am I here and what is my purpose? And you had guided us to see our ancestors in there as well. And I wasn't getting an answer. And I thought, I figured I'm not going to get an answer as to why I am here. And then all of a sudden, and you had said, you see yourself, and it was just my face, my reflection. And it turned into an awareness of my purpose was to live all the experiences that I have lived up till now.
brilliant.
I was surprised about that. I really was, I guess, affirmed and surprised to get that for an answer.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And what's particularly beautiful about it is you had to give up control. Right at that point where you gave up control and you surrendered, it opened up, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, our ability to be with uncertainty and let go of control is the beginning of the journey.
Hmm.
There is no control. You said it yourself in the very beginning when you started talking. We think we live in an objective world, objects in a world of objects, and that if I can get it perfect, if I can get it right, then everything will go well.
Yeah.
But it's a subjective world.
Like I have to fix it.
Yeah,
Have
yeah,
to.
you're right. There's nothing to fix because there's nothing broken. This is the hardest thing for people to get about themselves and about the world. Life wants to live. Really, life wants to live. Everything in nature wants to live. There's nothing broken. Climate change is simply a message that something is off, that needs to be taken care of. All the issues that are coming up, the breakdowns in the economic and social structures, absolutely had to happen, will continue to happen until we reach a place of sanity, because we've normalized genocide, taking babies from their parents, dropping atomic bombs, slavery. We've normalized it in the culture. And to unnormalize it is to begin to unnormalize it in our own life. And to do that, we need to be very focused on what is and not what should be. Because what should be keeps us from being with what is. So the conditions never become right in this moment for doing the thing we need to do.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Thanks.
Can I ask you a question?
Of course.
I'm unsure if um, how long you're going for, and if anybody else has a question.
We're going to start wrapping it up soon, but that's okay. Please, you've contributed a lot to the conversation. There's one human out there. The spiritual law is not two. That's the ultimate spiritual law, not two. So whatever you're contributing is contributing for all. And people's silence is a contribution also. People's listening is a contribution.
Wow. My question, it's been a confusion and along my healing journey. And I've heard this term, you had said it before, that most people, a lot of people are not in their bodies.
Mhm.
And so my question is, if we're not in our bodies, where are we? Where is consciousness?
Yeah. Oh, and now you're really making it a big question. Let's see. I've got 2 minutes here. Um, so um,
That's my attempt to try to control
we
and understand as well.
right. No. I understand. It's a great question. I'm just trying to see the best way to answer it. So first of all, you're in a body, but when I say you're not in your body, it's because you're in your head and a story about your body. You're not physically entering into the movement and energy and rhythms of your body. Most of us are not embodied. We also are not really in our emotions. We have feelings in our head. That's not the emotions in our body. We get angry in our head, but we don't get through it. It remains suppressed in our body. So there's frozen parts of our body that contain all of these things. And uh, consciousness is the witness of that. So that's the issue of witnessing. Consciousness does not live in the body. It's not a mind. It's not a brain. In fact, this is a huge, unprovable debate through science forever, but it's very clear no one actually has ever proven where consciousness comes from or that it is residing. Most people that think about it, panpsychists and people, animists and people who in the quantum world would say that it's a field which we are always feeding and drawing from. And so, but you are that field as well as this body. So it's always an exchange that's happening. Now, what you feed consciousness and what consciousness feeds you has a lot to do with how present you are in your body and your emotions and even your mind and your ability to relate to the world. And what I said earlier, this belief that we're objects in a world of objects. The work that I do in the workshops, the Way of the Mystic, the advanced course, we've got upcoming a meditation retreat. We've got another course, Holiday Presence. I'm just saying those are all opportunities to deepen our presence and begin to dissolve those frozen, stuck parts of ourselves so that Deborah just wrote a date, November 24th to 22nd. So that's the 5-session Holiday Presence that we're doing. And we're going to be working, for 5 weeks. And I particularly chose it in the holidays because it's a wonderful time where a lot of people get triggered and get stuck in things from the past. So yeah, check that out. Did you put a link up there? Deborah?
Yes, I put
Yeah.
the link in.
Great, great. Thank you. So the point is that to be with your question, it's not that it's everything is in your body. In fact, everything's in your breath even. Your breath is the perfect recording of your entire life. And the more that you attune to that, you'll actually be able to see the traumas in your breath as well as in your body where they're located. And how you heal, and I mean heal not like something's broken, how you heal is by embracing and loving those parts into awareness, and then they become integrated. How they live in our body is as frozen past, which keeps us repeating the things that we did and believe. It doesn't allow us to be still enough to allow the emergent future, which is also in the present, because that's all there ever is this moment right now. And the frozen past and the emergent future, how the future is going to come is all in the present. In order to hear the emergent future, we have to quiet the noise. That's why I do the meditation retreats, which we have one on December 5th. I do one every couple months to really get ourselves into a meditative state. But the tools of the mystic are meditation, contemplation, and prayer. And meditation is really an art. I mean, I spend hours every day just to stay sane and meditate. So I hope that addresses what the question. Tell me if you have some more about that.
It moved me further as far as if I'm not in my body, where am I? Or perhaps better said, when I'm not in my body, where am I? It's those undigested or unintegrated pieces of myself that are present. But I get when my husband died, I was with him, and I actually saw him. He was in incredible pain, and all of a sudden he calmed down when I put my arm on him and told him that I loved him. And he was in the resuscitation room in the hospital, and he turned to me and he, through the mask, the oxygen mask, says, "I love you too." And he calmed down and he leaned back, and he noticed something. His eyes could see something, and they became large. I've never seen eyes pop out of a person's head as large as what his did. And he followed whatever this was that he saw that took his attention. And he followed or he was taken or whatever up to a place beyond, where he ended up closing his eyes. And so for me, that was somehow, it was spirit. I don't know, the collective, the divine coming to escort him. He followed, he was led, and his spirit was leaving his body.
Yeah.
So that was consciousness.
Beautiful.
As well. And I was lucky enough to witness that.
Yeah.
But consciousness is going on around me all the time and within me. So I wanted to know about this when I'm not in my body. That was good. Thank you, Mike.
You're speaking to the whole spiritual journey, to really move to that place where there gets to a place where you see through the world. I mean, the spiritual path is to become nothing and therefore become everything. that
Mhm.
there is no separation. And all of our suffering is based on the fact that our attachment, the idea that we're separate. And that's at the heart, that separation is at the heart of all suffering. And people who do the work, it isn't everybody in our culture, not everybody in our culture, but so many people in our culture just want a pill. I used to practice shamanism for a long time, and then kind of expanded into more mystical arts. But people would come and want a soul retrieval, and you go and you find the part and you let them know what the part was. But that's just the beginning. If you're looking for a soul retrieval, you're going to have to do the work. You're going to have to guide that piece of your frozen self back and love it back into your body. And if you're not going to do that work and you're going to keep the same patterns, then, you know, you'll just keep having that lost soul part. So to take on a practice, I tell people in the meditation workshops, don't try to fit your meditation practice into your life. You fit your life into your meditation practice, whatever kind of meditation that is. And that's really um, the job, and if I can support you in any way, I'm really grateful to all of you. I just want to say for, those who showed up for the conversation, whatever came up for you, whether you know it or not, it contributed. There's a connecting that happens in doing this work. And every time you allow yourself to connect to this type of work, you don't forget it. It becomes a part of you. It's kind of like, maybe you first see a book on meditation, you go, oh, that looks like something that would be nice to do. But it sits with you maybe for 10 or 20 years sometimes. And then you go, oh, well, maybe I'll try this meditation thing. And then you try it, and first it's really nice, but then it starts getting real. Then you get wild stallions racing through your mind and jitters and, uncomfortable. And you think, oh, I was doing good before. I want to get back to where I was. No, you don't want to get back to where you are because you're taking space. Meditation creates capacity. So when you have a large enough capacity, guess what? Those frozen parts are going to start coming up to be dealt with. And can you stay with that? And that's how we evolve. So, I'm just really grateful because you wouldn't be on this call with me if you weren't someone who was on a journey towards not just personal wholeness, but part of the journey of bringing more light into the world. Because the work that you do personally on yourself is contributing to the collective and to the healing of the collective trauma. And we live in a sea of trauma, a frozen past. All those things that have gone down. And of course, our ancestors have been through plagues and famine and climate change, major, and wars, all of this kind of stuff. And so you have the resiliency to be with the changes that are happening. It's in your blood, in your bones, in your body, in your DNA. And that's one of the reasons that it's important to honor our ancestors. Our ancestors, some people, it sounds crazy talk maybe, but our ancestors really appreciate when we appreciate them. And we get more when we're honoring our ancestors. Every day I go outside, I have an outside shower. I go outside and take my shower and do my prayers and all that kind of thing. And then at the end, I turn on the cold water to honor my ancestors and to remind me, it's kind of a wide awake way to start the day, but it's just what practices can you do that can remind you to stay awake, to keep opening up? because that's what we're here for, is to wake up, to touch the light in ourselves, and then allow that light to spread to others and to share it with others. So it's just an honor and a privilege to be here with you, and I'm quite grateful. Um, we got 1 minute if somebody wants to say something real quickly here to just be complete. Well, what I want to say is I am so grateful to you for being on this path and for honoring your own path and for sharing it in whatever way you're sharing it. And I hope you'll join us in other programs. And it's just, it's really awesome to be with you. I'll also send out the recording of this so you'll have the meditation if you'd like. Okay. All right, my loves, I'm going to blow out the candle and I'm going to thank the ancestors. Pardon me?
Uplifted. I always feel uplifted when I hear you.
Oh, thank you.
Always rings a bell.
Thank you, Ayana. That's beautiful. So we thank the ancestors, we thank the spirits who are here with us, and we thank all, you know, the spirits of the world and the land and all the animals, and just grateful that we have so much to be grateful for. And by the way, you can't be grateful and not be present. True gratitude is true presence. True presence is love. So thank you so much. Bye for now.